Hello, guys. So, today I'm going to read The Concise Laws of Human Nature, and today let's start with the chapter 13. Okay. Okay. The law of aimlessness. Advance with a sense of purpose. The law of aimlessness. Unlike animals with their instincts to guide them past dangers, we humans have to rely upon our conscious decisions. We do the best we can when it comes to our career path and handling the inevitable setbacks in life. But in the back of our minds, we can sense an overall lack of direction as we are pulled this way and that way by our moods and by the opinions of others. How did we end up in this job, in this place? Such drifting can lead to dead ends. The way to avoid such a fate is to develop a sense of purpose, discovering our calling in life and using such knowledge to guide us in our decisions. We come to know over ourselves more deeply, our taste and inclinations. We trust ourselves, knowing which battles and detours to avoid. Even our moments of doubt, even our failures have a purpose to tough, uh, to, toughen, toughen us up. With such energy and direction, our actions have unstoppable force. Okay. He who has a why to live can bear with almost anyhow. Friedrich Nietzsche. Nietzsche. Okay. Keys to human nature. In the not so distant past, people's career and life choices were somewhat limited. Hmm. They would settle into the particular jobs or roles available to them and stay there for decades. Certain older figures, mentors, family members, or religious leaders could offer some direction if needed, but such stability can help is hard to find today. As the world changes ever more quickly, everyone is caught up in the harsh struggle to make it. People have never been so preoccupied with their own needs and agendas. The advice of our parents might be totally antiquated in this new order. In this new order, facing this unprecedented state of affairs, we tend to react in one of two ways. Some of us, excited by all the changes, actually embrace this new order. We can experiment, try many different jobs, have many different relationships and adventures. Commitments to a single career or person feel like unnecessary restrictions on this freedom. Wait. I totally disagree with this point. Okay. See, I'm a kind of person who will stick with only one woman. Okay. I don't want to experiment in this field. Okay. Maybe if I want to stay in a different relationship, there is no chance. Okay. If my parents told me that you have to marry this person, I'll first talk with her, and by talking itself, I will understand that if she is my type or not. Because see, I need a person this features. I don't know what am I saying. I think I'm too young to talk about this shit. Okay, let's move ahead. Some of us, however, react the opposite way, frightened of the chaos. We quickly opt for a career that is practical and lucrative, hopefully related to some of our interests but not necessarily. What motivates us is to somehow establish the stability that is so hard to find in this world. Both paths, however, tend to lead to some problems further down the road. In the first case, trying so many things out, we never really develop solid skills in one particular area. Because of this, our career possibilities begin to narrow. Although we might not like to admit it to ourselves, our freedom can begin to wear on us. In the second case, the career we committed to in our 20s might begin to feel a bit lifeless in our 30s, we chose it for practical purposes, but it has a little connection to what actually interests us in life. Perhaps we need some new, exciting career or relationship or adventure. In either case, we do what we can to manage our frustrations, but as the years go by, we start to experience bouts of pain that we cannot deny or repress. This pain comes in several forms. We feel increasingly bored, not really engaged in our work. We turn to various distractions to occupy our restless minds, but by the law of diminishing returns, we need to continually find new and stronger forms of diversion. Only when we are alone or in down moments we actually experience the chronic boredom that motivates many of our actions and eats away at us. We feel increasingly insecure. We all have dreams and a sense of our own potential. If we have wandered aimlessly through life or gone astray, we begin to become aware of the discrepancy between our dreams and reality. We have no solid accomplishments. We often feel anxious and stressed but are never quite certain as to why. We steered clear of tough choices and stressful situations, but when they crop up in the present, we are forced to finish something by a deadline, or we suddenly become ambitious and want to realize a dream of ours. We have not learned in the past how to handle such situations, and the anxiety and the stress overwhelm us. Our avoidance leads to a low grade continual anxiety, and finally we feel depressed. All of us want to believe that there is some purpose and meaning to our life, that we are connected to something larger than ourselves. Without that conviction, we experience an emptiness and depression that we will ascribe to other factors. By our nature, we humans crave a sense of direction, but the human mind is bottomless pit. It provides us with endless mental space to explore. At any moment, we could choose to go in 100 different directions without belief systems or conventions in place. We seem to have no obvious compass points to guide our behavior and decisions, and this can be maddening. Fortunately, there is one way out of this uh, predicament, and it is by nature available to each and every one of us. There is no need to look for gurus or to grow nostalgic for the past and its certainties. A compass and guidance system does exist. It comes from looking for and discovering the individual purpose to our lives. It is the path taken by the greatest achievers and contributors to the advancement of human nature, human culture, and we only have to see the path to take it. Here's how it works. Each human individual is radically unique. This uniqueness is inscribed in us in three ways. The one of a kind configuration of our DNA, the particular way our brains are wired, and our experiences as we go through life, experiences that are unlike any others. Consider this uniqueness as a seed that is planted at birth and with potential growth, and this uniqueness has a purpose. Guys, congratulations to me. I have read 200 pages of this book, and I think there is only 208 only 87 pages are left. You can see only 87 pages are left. Okay, striving to connect to and cultivate this uniqueness provides us a path to follow, an internal guidance system through life, but connecting to this system does not come easily. Normally, the signs of our uniqueness are clearer to us in early childhood. We found ourselves naturally drawn to particular subjects or activities despite the influence of our parents. We can all these primal inclinations, they speak to us like a voice, but as we get older, that voice becomes drowned out by parents, peers, teachers, and culture at large. To tap into the guidance system, we must make the connection to our uniqueness as strong as possible and learn to trust that voice. When we engage this internal guidance system, all of the negative emotions and plague us in our aimlessness are neutralized and even turned around into positive ones. For instance, we may feel boredom in the process of accumulating skills. Practice can be tedious, but we can embrace the tedium, knowing of the tremendous benefits to come. With a sense of purpose, we feel much less insecure. We have an overall sense that we are advancing, realizing some or all of our potential. We can begin to back at various accomplishments, small or large. We know who we are, and this self-awareness becomes our anchor in life. With this guidance system in place, we can turn anxiety and stress into productive emotions. in trying to reach out our goals, a book, a business, a winning a political campaign, um, have we have to manage a great deal of anxiety and uncertainty, making daily decisions on what to do. We develop the ability to regulate our anxiety enough to keep us going and keep improving the work, but not so much as to paralyze us. And finally, with a sense of purpose, we are less prone to depression. Yes, low moments are inevitable, but more often we feel excited and lifted above the pettiness that so often marks daily life in the modern world. Your task as a student of human nature is twofold. First, you must become aware of the primary role that a sense of purpose plays in human life. Look at the people around you and gauge what is guiding their behavior. Seeing patterns in their choices, are they mostly after pleasure money? Are they really after? Are they mostly after pleasure, money, attention, power for its own sake, or a cause to join? These are what we shall call false purposes. Acha, okay. And they lead to obsessive behavior and various dead ends. Once you identify people as motivated by a false purpose, wait a minute. How a person is motivated by money is a dead end. Like, money is the motivation, no? You have to work hard for your family so that you can provide for them. If you're okay, in this situation, I think this the purpose, the cause is not the money, it is the family. Okay, okay. Ugh. These are what we shall call false purposes, and they lead to obsessive behavior and various dead ends. Once you identify people as motivated by a false purpose, you should avoid hiring or working with them, as they will tend to draw you downward with their unproductive energy. You will also notice some people who are struggling to find their purpose in the form of their calling in life. Perhaps you can help them, or you can help each other. And finally, you may recognize a few people who have a relatively high sense of purpose. They will draw you upward. Your second task is to find your sense of purpose and elevate it by making the connection to it as deep as possible. If you are young, use what you find to give an overall framework to your restless energy. Explore the world freely, accumulate adventures, but all within a certain framework. Most important, accumulate skills. If you are older and have gone astray, take the skills you have acquired and find ways to gently channel them in the direction that will eventually mesh with your inclinations and spirit. Avoid sudden and drastic career changes that are impractical. Exactly. In any event, you will want to go as far as you can in cultivating your uniqueness and the originality that goes with it. You are one of a kind that represents true freedom and the ultimate power we human can possess. 212. Okay, I mean, there is 10 pages left. Okay. Oh, where I was. Oh, strategies for developing a high sense of purpose. I, Hmm. Bobby said. Bobby said. Bobby said. Bobby too. Yes. Nice try. Nice try. Okay. Hmm. Once you commit yourself to developing or strengthening your sense of purpose, then the hard work begins. You will face many enemies and obstacles impeding your progress. The distracting voices of others who instill doubts about your calling and your uniqueness, your down, your own boredom and frustrations with the work itself and your slow progress. The lack of trustworthy criticism from people to help you. The levels of anxiety you must manage, and finally, the burnout that often accompanies focused labor over long periods. The following the following 5 strategies are designed to help you move past these obstacles. Okay, now first this is the problem, and he also gave the solution. Oh. Mm-hmm. The following 5 strategies are designed to help you move past these obstacles. They are in loose order, and the first being the essential starting point. You will want to put them all into practice to ensure continual improvement forward. Basically, continual movement. Okay, I thought continual improvement. Discover your calling in life. You begin this strategy by looking for signs of primal inclinations in your earliest years when they were often the clearest. What you are looking for is moments in which you were unusually fascinated by a particular subject or certain objects or specific activities and formats of play. These moments of visceral attraction occurred suddenly and without any prodding from parents or friends. It would be hard to put into words why they occurred. They are signs of something beyond our personal control. Examine moments in your life when certain tasks or activities felt natural and easy to you, similar to swimming with a current. Eh? Similar to swimming with a current. Oh. In performing such activities, you have a greater tolerance for the tedium of practicing. People's criticisms don't discourage you so easily. You want to learn, you can contrast this with other subjects or tasks what you find deeply boring and unfulfilling, which frustrate you. Related to this, you will want to figure out the particular form of intelligence that your brain is wired for. This could be mathematics and logics, physical activity, words, images, or music. We could also add to this social intelligence, a superior. Eh? a superior sensitivity to people. When you are engaged in the activity that feels right, it will correspond to that form of intelligence for which your brain is most suited. Okay. From these various factors, you should be able to spot the outline of your calling. In essence, in going through this process, you are discovering yourself, what makes you different, what predators the opinions of others. If you are young and just starting out in your career, you will want to explore a relatively wide field related to your inclinations. If you are older and have more experience, you will want to take the skills you have already developed and find a way to adapt them more in the direction of your true calling. Remember that the calling could be combining several fields that fascinate you. Okay. Calling could be combining several fields. Remember, the calling could be combining several fields that fascinate you. Use resistance and negative spurs. The key to success in any field is first developing skills in various areas which you can later combine in unique and creative ways. But the process of doing so can be tedious and painful. As you become aware of your limitations and relative lack of skill, most people consciously or unconsciously seek to avoid stadium pain and any form of adversity. You must choose to move in the opposite direction. You want to embrace negative experiences, limitations, and even pain as the perfect means of building up your skill levels and sharpening your sense of purpose. As you progress on your path, you will be subject to more and more of people's criticisms. Some of them might be constructive and worth paying attention to. Huh? Some of them might be constructive and worth paying attention to. But many of them come from envy. You can recognize the latter by the person's emotional tone in expressing their negative opinions. They go a little too far. They go a little too far. Speak with a bit too much vehemence. Hmm. They make it personal, instilling doubts about your overall ability, emphasizing your personality more than the work. They lack specific details about what they what and how to improve. Once recognized, the trick is not to internalize these criticisms in any form. Instead, use their negative opinions to motivate you and add to your sense of purpose. How can I use their negative opinions to motivate myself and add in my purpose? How? Let's say, there is a colleague or co-worker. He's criticizing me for some good reasons. Now I can do two things. Number one, I can start a fight with him, like no and arguing, etc., etc. And the second thing is, I can note it down and I have to identify why he's saying this. Is it because of my fault in my work, or is it because my work is not good enough? And if it is yes, then how can I improve my work? There are only two things that I can do, but I don't know how I'm going to do this, like taking negative opinions to motivate me and add to my purpose. I can add to my work. Okay. Observe purposeful energy. We humans are extremely susceptible to the moods and energy of other people. For this reason, you want to avoid too much contact with those who have a low or false sense of purpose. On the other hand, you always want to try to find and associate with those who have a high sense of purpose. This could be the perfect mentor or teacher or partner on a project. Such people will tend to bring out the best in you, and you will find it easier and even refreshing to receive their criticisms. Huh? You want to find people who are pragmatic and not merely those who are charismatic or visionaries. If possible, collect around you a group of people from different friends as associates who have similar energy. You will keep elevate one another's sense of purpose. Do not settle for virtual associations or mentors. Okay, you have to be physically present. Create a ladder of descending goals. Huh? Like small to big, or yeah, descending small to big. Hey, from big to small. Operating with long term goals, yeah, from big goals to small goals, yeah. Goals will bring you tremendous clarity and resolve. The problem, however, is that they will also tend to generate anxiety as you look at all you have to do to reach them from the present vantage point. And not disadvantage or advantage, it is vantage point. To manage to manage such anxiety, you must create a ladder of smaller goals along the way, reaching down to the present. To manage such anxiety, you must create a ladder of smaller goals along the way, reaching down to the present. Such objectives are simpler the further down the ladder you go, and you can realize them in relatively short time frames, giving you moments of satisfaction and a sense of progress. Remember that what you are after is a series of practical results and accomplishments, not a list of unrealized dreams and aborted projects. Lose yourself in the work. Okay, I love this one. Perhaps the greatest difficulty you will face in maintaining a high and consistent sense of purpose is the level of commitment that is required over time and the sacrifices that go with this. You have to handle many moments of frustration, boredom, and failure, and the endless temptations in our culture for more immediate pleasures. And as the years pile up, you can face burnout. To offset this tedium, you need to have moments of flow in which your mind becomes so deeply immersed in the work that you are transported beyond your ego. These experiences cannot be manufactured, but you can set the stage for them and vastly increase your odds. First, it is essential to wait until you are further until you are further until you are further along in the process, at least more than halfway through a project, or after several years of study in your field. Second, you must plan on giving yourself uninterrupted time with the work as many hours in the day as possible and as many days in the week. For this purpose, you have to rigorously eliminate the usual level of distractions. Even plan on disappearing for a period of time. Number 3, the emphasis. The emphasis must be on the work, never on yourself or the desire for recognition. You are fusing your mind with the work itself, and any intrusive thoughts from your ego or doubts about yourself or personal obsessions will interrupt the flow. The lure of false purposes. The gravitational pull we feel toward finding a purpose comes from two elements in human nature. First, unable to rely on instincts as other animals do, we require some means of having a sense of direction, a way to guide and restrict our behavior. Second, we humans are aware of our huh, punniness as individuals in a world with billions of others in a vast universe. We need to feel larger than just the individuals we are and connected to something that transcends us. Human nature being what it is, however, many people seek to create a purpose and a feeling of transcendence on the cheap to find it in the easiest and most accessible way. With the least amount of effort, such people give themselves over to false purposes. Huh? Wait. Human nature being what it is. However, many people seek to create purpose and a feeling of transcendence on the cheap to find it in the easiest and most accessible way with the least amount of efforts. Okay, to find a purpose with the least amount of effort. Okay, such people give themselves over to false purpose. Okay, those that merely supply the illusion of purpose and transcendence. With we can contrast them with real purposes in the following way. The real purpose comes from within. It is an idea, a calling, a sense of mission that we feel intimately connected to false intimately to connected to intimately connected to false purposes come from external sources like belief systems. Okay, this is false purposes. Okay, false purposes comes from external sources like belief systems that we swallow whole, conformity to what other people are doing. Here are five of the most common forms of false purposes that have appealed to humans since the beginning of civilization. Okay. Money and success. Attention. What is kinesism? The pursuit of pleasure. I think mostly here they will talk about intimacy. For many of us, work is just an irritating necessity of life. What really motivates us is avoiding pain and finding as much pleasure as possible in our time outside work. The pleasures we pursue can take various forms. I know. Sex, stimulants, entertainment, games of all sorts. No matter the objects of the pursuit, they tend to lead to any dynamic of diminishing returns. The moments of pleasure we get tend to get duller through repetition. We need either more and more of the same or constantly new diversions. This form of false purpose is very common in the world today, largely because of the cornucopia of distractions we can choose from. But it goes against a basic element of human nature. To have deeper levels of pleasure, we have to learn to limit ourselves. Okay, to have deeper levels of pleasures, we have to learn to limit ourselves. All of us require pleasurable moments outside work ways to relieve our tension, but when we operate with a sense of purpose, we know the value of limiting ourselves, opting for depth of experience rather than overstimulation. Causes and cults. Wow, this is something new. People have a profound need to believe in something, and in the absence of great unifying belief systems, this void is easily filled by all kinds of micro causes and cults. We can recognize a microcause or cult by a vagueness of what its disciples want, which is a clear sign that their group is merely about the release of emotions. Aligning ourselves with a cause can be an important part of our sense of purposes, but it must emerge from an internal process in which we have thought deeply about the subject and are committing ourselves to the causes as part of our life's work. Money and success. For many people, the pursuit of money and status can supply them with plenty of motivation and focus. Such types would consider figuring out their calling in life a monumental waste of time and antiquated notion. But in the long run, this philosophy often yields the most impractical of results. First, more often than not, such types enter the field in which they can make the most money the fastest. Huh? First, more often then not such types enter the field in which they can make most money the fastest. First, more often than not, such types. Okay. Often they make big mistakes in their obsessive pursuit of money because their thinking is so short term. Okay. Second, money and success that last come from remaining original and not mindlessly following the path that others are following. If we make money our primary goal, we never truly cultivate our uniqueness, and eventually someone younger and hungrier will supplant us. Okay. And finally, what often motivates people in this quest is to simply have more money and status than other people and to feel superior. With that standard, it is difficult to know when they have enough. When they have enough. Because there are always people with more. Many of the most successful, famous, and wealthy individuals do not begin with an obsession with money and status. Concentrate on maintaining a high sense of purpose, and the success will follow to you naturally. Concentrate on maintaining a high sense of purpose, and the success will flow to you naturally. Attention. People have always pursued fame and attention as a way to feel enlarged and more important, but this false sense of purpose has become greatly democratized and widespread through social media. Now, almost any one of us can have the quantity of attention that past kings and conquerors could only dream about. Our self-image and self-esteem become tied to the attention we receive on a daily basis. As with money and success, we have a such greater chance of attracting attention by developing a high sense of purpose and creating work that will naturally draw people to it. When the attention is unexpected, as with the success we certainly have, it is all the more pleasurable. Cynicism. According to Friedrich Nietzsche, okay, man would rather have the widest purpose than be void of purpose. Huh? This is something new. Man would rather have the voidest purpose than be void of purpose. Okay, so there is the difference of and as. Cynicism, the feeling that there is no purpose of meaning in life, is what we shall call having the void of as purpose. In the world today, with growing disenchantment with politics and the belief systems of the past, this form of the false purpose is becoming increasingly common. Cynicism, the feeling that there is no purpose or meaning in life, is what we shall call having the void as purpose. In the world today, with growing disenchantment with politics and the belief systems of the past, this form of the false purpose is becoming increasingly common. So, false purpose is becoming increasingly common. Okay. As hunters for purpose and meaning, we want to move in the opposite direction. Reality is not brutal and ugly, it contains much that is sublime, beautiful, and worthy of wonder. We see this in the great works of other achievers. We want to have more encounters with the sublime. We see a purpose behind everything that we experience and see. In the end, what we want is to fuse the curiosity and excitement we had toward the world as children, when almost everything seemed enchanting with our adult intelligence. The whole law of human existence consists in nothing other than a man's always being able to bow before the immeasurably great. If people are deprived of the immeasurably great, they will not live and will die in despair. Uh, the immeasurable and infinite are as necessary for man as the small planet he inhabits. Fyodor Dostoevsky. Dostoevsky. Good. So yes, chapter 13 has been completed, and in the next video we will read chapter 14. Okay, till then, see you, take care, and keep reading. Okay, so now I have only 4 chapters left. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. No, I think there is 5 chapters left. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Yeah, 5 chapters left. Okay, see ya.